All right, West Virginia fans. Tough one for our West Virginia Mountaineers. The game was in striking distance, but ultimately, the West Virginia Mountaineers fall short tonight versus the Carolina Tar Heels. To talk about it tonight, got a good friend with me, Amit Batra. Amit, give me your initial thoughts on this one.
Yeah, I mean, I thought it was an entertaining game. I thought West Virginia certainly had chances throughout. Costly errors, absolutely. Obviously a tough beginning to the game with, I think Maxio was struggling with his command early, but he, was able to find his way. And I thought West Virginia had chances. They had guys in scoring position at times and just weren't able to capitalize. And against a team like UNC, who's very, very good, really you have to capitalize on your opportunities.
Yeah, just initial reaction for me before we get into a deep dive of this one. UNC is a great baseball team, tip of the cap to them, I know a lot of the West Virginia fans had the revenge factor on their mind all week about this one, but you really have to look at UNC as far as a baseball program, and they are a very solid team. They might be the most complete team in Omaha, so I think we have to say that before we even start. When you play a team like UNC, it's going to take a perfect performance to beat those type of guys, and that's not what happened today, Amit.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think obviously from the jump for UNC to get a lead early is tough. I think for West Virginia to have a real chance at this, they probably had to get the lead early and kind of get some runs on the board. But they were able to tie it, right? I mean, they made it a 2-2 game, and then just some costly errors, some self-inflicted wounds. And really, that's what really came down to be honest. And it's tough because West Virginia certainly had their opportunities, but UNC very quality ball club. They just they're able to hit. They have a lot of power on the roster, great pitching as well. So, it was a tough one, but I think, West Virginia is still alive. There's still opportunities, against Troy on Tuesday.
Yeah, if there's one theme about this team, it's been all year. It's been resiliency. So this team's gonna have to really uh, deep dive deep this week and find some resiliency. But they've done that all year. They're gonna play Troy again. So on tonight's show, we'll talk about this game. We'll unpack what happened. It was an entertaining baseball game. I thought it was a great game between two really solid programs heading in the right direction, but ultimately West Virginia fell short. Before we do, if you're a West Virginia fan, please remember to like and subscribe to the show. We're at 923 subscribers, Amit. We are getting close to that 1,000 subscriber mark. Overnight, it seemed like our channel absolutely blew up. So we are getting very close to hitting that 1,000 subscriber mark. So I know everyone's disappointed in the loss tonight, but if you could help us out with subscribing to the channel and get us to 1,000 subs, it really helps us out here at the Jersey Ear channel. So definitely subscribe to the show if you like the post game reactions and the previews for West Virginia sports. We do football, basketball, wrestling, baseball, pretty much anything West Virginia sports. So if you're a Mountaineer fan, subscribe to the show. That being said, let's get into the deep dive of this one. All right, so pitching matchup, Amit. Two guys that you're probably going to see on MLB mounds one day, Ryan Lynch versus Max Yale. Coming into this one, I felt pretty confident with Max Yale. You see the numbers there, 9-2, 2.10 ERA versus 5-4, 4.22 ERA. But there was the question of what happened to Yale in that game one versus Kentucky. What was your thoughts about the initial matchup here, Mitt?
Yeah, I mean, obviously he's one of the guys you obviously want on the mound, right? He's one of our aces, and Big 12 pitcher of the year. So I mean, I think early on, I think maybe some jitters, right? I mean, he definitely didn't have his command. He wasn't throwing that many strikes, but he's able to settle in, right? And then from there, I thought he gave West Virginia a real chance. Obviously was getting some strikes, was striking out a lot of guys as well. And then Ryan, I mean, I think first two innings he was very, very good, and then West Virginia was able to figure him out in the third inning, thanks to Guzman, really, because he had a very good day, at the plate.
It was crazy how fast UNC warmed up their bullpen.
Yeah.
I was shocked by that, but now after watching the game, it's no surprise. So let's get into inning by inning here. So you see the lineups here. West Virginia pretty much goes with the lineup that they've gone with the entire time, with Guzman leading off, Kelly, Schoenfeld, Smith, Gravelin, Einich, Kresser, Lumsden, and Hall. So no surprise there. He kind of knew today that it was going to be Max Yale on the mound after pitching Cole on Friday. And then UNC goes with the same lineup that they had the other night: Schaffner, Gallagher, Hull, Winslow, Paulson, Nicholson, Howe, Heineck, and French. Both teams, coming into this one, UNC heads for a little bit more power, but both teams have very balanced lineups. In this one, it's no surprise they're one of the top 6 remaining teams going in Omaha.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, UNC has always been a power. It seems like, they're always capable of getting to Omaha. They've been here, right? And they have a real chance this year to win it all. Hopefully not. West Virginia can figure it out and go on a run here. But, they're, everybody knows they're power for sure.
So let's go inning by inning a minute and really break this game down of the key moments here. So Guzman for West Virginia, the fans were out and about early in this one, and Guzman draws a leadoff walk. And anytime Guzman gets on base, it's must-watch television. You kind of have to stop what you're doing and see what he's going to do. Kelly grounds out, but Guzman advances to second. Really hard to turn a double play with Guzman on base. Schoenfeld strikes out. Really tough day for Schoenfeld. We'll talk about that a little bit later. And Smith grounds out for the third out. Guzman was stranded on second base, and it felt like there for West Virginia in an environment like this against the toughest challenge of the season, it was a missed opportunity for West Virginia from the get-go, not getting Guzman home.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the guy has speed. He's obviously one of the guys you depend on, and to get him in scoring position early, I think it would have been huge to get a run there, right? I mean, they have definitely had opportunities to get guys, to score, but it's tough, against a team like UNC. If you can get a lead out early, it's huge, right? And to kind of play from behind is not what you want against this type of team.
Well, especially with Yale, because we know Yale. We have confidence in Yale, but we've also seen him at times take a while to get comfortable in games, especially in the postseason. So it would have been nice to have at least some sort of a lead there in the first inning, but ultimately West Virginia does not get that runner across. And then UNC starts off hot. Schaffner. First off, how about this, Amit? The missed call strikeout from Schaffner. So it looks like the pitch hits him.
Yeah.
And they call it a foul ball. But if you look at the replay, the ball never hit the bat. Schaffner ends up striking out, but has a chance to have another life. And of course he hits a single.
Yeah, I mean, not what you want early on as a Mountaineer fan. Obviously, that guy is tough to get out in general, right? And to get something like that where, it favors him, it's not what you want. And tough blow. I thought the umps, kind of were all over the place a little bit in certain spots of the game.
Yeah, inconsistent for both teams, really. But I was having flashbacks to the TJ Simmons blocking out of bounds call. Some of the calls that have gone against us recently for West Virginia. The David Sills offensive pass interference, and the guy was literally holding them. That's what it felt like early in this one. So he ends up singling after that missed strikeout call from the umpires. Gallagher hits into a fielder's choice, whole singles, and then Winslow is hit by a pitch, and all of a sudden, as a West Virginia fan, you're like, uh-oh, this game can get ugly quickly, especially we're having flashbacks to Yale versus that game versus Kentucky against Kentucky, that game one of that regional, when they played Kentucky the first time. Paulson ends up walking on 4 pitches. It's 1-0 Kentucky. Nicholson grounds out to Yale, but a runner scores. And then luckily Gravelin battles the sun to record the last out. That was huge in that game. The shadows were definitely a factor in this game early. So a couple of things here, in this first inning. A little nervous about how Yale started. Like I said, there's a few hit by pitch, walking batters on 4 pitches. It was a little concerning, but luckily he was able to dive deep here and settle down in this game.
Yeah, totally. I mean, I think, you don't want to give up runs, but 2 runs, I mean, you'd rather have that than something snowball, right? Which I was a little worried about, to be honest, because his command was off. And he just looked jittery out there to begin the game. Thankfully, he was able to settle in for sure. But yeah, I mean, not an ideal to go behind early, but thankfully he was able to settle in.
Especially with Chance and Cole the other day, only going 2 2/3 inning. You really needed a long start from a starter here with this game. It's obviously we're in a tough position now with the loss, but it's a double elimination tournament, and you have to save some pitchers. Yeah. All right, inning 2. Pretty much chalk at this point. Gravelin flies out to right field. Einich pops out to shortstop, and Kresser grounds out. Nothing doing for West Virginia. And then UNC, Heineck struck out looking. Hall playing in leads to a French single. But then Schaffner flies out, and Gallagher strikes out swinging. So Yale at that point was settling in, and no harm, no foul for West Virginia there. We go to the 3rd inning, and Lumsden lead off single. Hall grounds out. But Lumsden advances, and Armani Guzman, who's been probably the best offensive player for West Virginia this postseason as far as game in and game out. Strikes again, gets the RBI single. Kelly singles, and Guzman advances to second. And then this is where this third inning was huge, man. That's why I have a few things in yellow here. Guzman was thrown out stealing to third. The call was overturned. Let's stop there and talk about that one.
Yep.
In my opinion, that's a really tough call. I know the announcers said that he was out, but in my opinion, the call on the field was safe. And maybe I have my West Virginia glasses on for this one, but in my opinion, there was inconclusive evidence, as you said in our text message.
Yep.
In my opinion, I thought that was the wrong call to overturn that. You can disagree with me in the comments if you want to, but in my opinion, because the call on the field was safe, I thought that was a really tough break for West Virginia. Now, if Guzman was called out and they kept that call, I probably would have been okay with it.
Yep.
But that's how I felt. How did you feel about that sequence there?
Totally agree. I mean, from a football standpoint and football reference, inconclusive evidence, right? Whatever's called on the field, typically it stands, right? So I think it was a great play by the catcher for UNC. It was a great throw for sure. To get Guzman even that close, I mean, that guy's obviously he can do magical things when he's running, right? But I thought just based on the call on the field, it should have stayed. I mean, obviously there's bias if you're a West Virginia fan, bias if you're a UNC fan, right? But it was just a bang play. It was too tough to overturn, in my opinion.
Yeah, and that would have been his 40th base of the season for West Virginia. He has a crazy steal rate. I think he has 39 for 42 at that point, stealing bases. So we're not used to seeing him thrown out. So that was a tough pill to swallow. And then, right after that happened, Schoenfeld strikes out looking on a payoff pitch, 3-2 count, with runners on. And to me,
it's outside.
That was outside. I mean, I don't want to be the guy that comes on here and blames the umpire for the loss, because in my opinion, the umpire was not the reason why West Virginia lost this game by any means, but that was just a tough sequence to take as West Virginia. In my opinion, I thought that Guzman should have been able to stay at third, and then all of a sudden you have still a runner in scoring position with Kelly on second, and then Schoenfeld strikes out on a pitch that looked pretty much definitely outside. That was a tough pill to swallow for West Virginia.
100%. Definitely looked outside of me as well, and it seemed like UNC had every favorable call go their way the first 3 innings, which is tough, right? Because they're already good enough, and you don't want them to get those type of calls. But to me, it looked outside. Really unfortunate for West Virginia.
Yeah, and then bottom of the third, Yale did his thing again. Hole struck out, Winslow ground out, Paulson 2-out single, but nothing doing. Nicholson pops out to third, and all of a sudden, Yale is really settling into this game. We flip it over to the 4th inning. Smith draws a leadoff walk. Gravelin singles, and Smith advances to third. Runners on corner with no outs. And Gravelin hits into a double play, but Smith scores. Probably the happiest I've ever been for someone hitting into a double play. Usually, I'm not happy in that situation, but the fact that it's the College World Series and it's the round 2 and it tied the game, I was okay with that. For UNC conceding the run and us getting the run there, I felt okay with Einich at that point hitting no double play.
Yeah, I mean, obviously to tie the game, make it a new game, right? I mean, that's huge in itself, right? I mean, I would have loved, obviously, with runners on the corner, 0 out, if they could get a rally there going, that would have been fantastic. But hey,
yeah, in hindsight now, right? It's easy to say now you don't want the double play now. There's a few times where West Virginia had a chance to really snowball these innings and take control of this game. They just didn't. But at the time when I'm watching this in the 4th inning, I'm like, you know what? I'll take a tie game.
Yeah, I mean, I think for one, it just seemed like they were starting to figure out Lynch as well, right? I mean, the first 2 innings, I was like, man, this could be very difficult. But they were absolutely getting some contact on the ball, which was huge.
So Kresser grounds out to the shortstop to end the inning, and then again, Yale comes out and Yale performs, strikes out Howe, strikes out Heineck, and French singles. French had a good game today, by the way. I think he for being in the 9-hole, got on base 4 times today for UNC, so shout out to him. And Schaffner popped out to end the inning. So again, Yale through 4 innings, besides that first inning, is cruising and gives West Virginia a chance. So it's a 2-2 ball game after 4 innings. Go to the 5th inning here. Lumsden grounds out to shortstop, Hall grounds out to first, and then Guzman singles. And that's going to end the night for Lynch, So as a West Virginia fan, you're like, all right, we got to their bullpen first, but UNC, man, that's where you have to really tip the cap. And we'll talk about this a little bit later. Is their bullpen is amazing. They have a great bullpen, and that was the key to this game is their bullpen. McDuffie comes in and makes a statement by striking out West Virginia's by far best prospect, best player, Kelly, to end the inning.
Yeah, I thought this was tough because I thought if Kelly could get on base, at least it could have sparked something, right? I mean, obviously he's your best hitter, but yeah, no, difficult. I mean, McDuffie did some great things, obviously, and I think UNC's bullpen is absolutely terrific, like you said. So tough, it would have been nice for Kelly just at least get on base there.
Yeah, especially with Guzman at first. In reality, what you're used to is Guzman steals that second base, puts himself in runner in scoring position, then
Yeah,
you have your best hitter up. It's a good position for West Virginia. And then I texted you and our buddy Eric in our group chat, and I said, okay, bottom of the fifth inning is going to be one of the main parts of the game because UNC has the heart of the order coming up. 2, 3, 4 coming up for UNC. Gallagher fouls out to Guzman. Hole grounds out after incredible play by Hall and Guzman. We were talking about it, we had flashes of Stedman Bailey back there, with Goose dragging his feet across first base. It looked like a receiver getting 2 feet in boundsman.
yeah, I thought it was terrific play by both guys, right? I mean, I think Guzman dragging his feet did look like Stephen Bill out there.
I guess in college you only need 1 foot, right?
Yeah,
So
you
I guess
only need one, but what a play by both guys. Obviously huge in that moment, right? I mean, for West Virginia, and yeah, I think Yale just kept getting more and more confident through each inning, which was huge.
Winslow strikes out to end the inning. So again, you go through 2, 3, 4 there for Yale, and all of a sudden you're through 72 pitches in 5 innings. And as a West Virginia fan, if you tell us before the game that Yale's at 72 pitches through 5 innings and has only given up 2 runs, you probably sign up for that going into that game. Let's go to the 6th inning here. Schoenfeld grounds out for 1 out. Smith had a nice game today. He singled up the middle.
Yep.
Gravelin walks, and all of a sudden there's runners on first and second with 1 out. And then Matt Einich grounds out into a double play omit to end the inning. Missed opportunity for Einich, missed opportunity for West Virginia. That was a chance there, Amit, for West Virginia to really break the game open. I think when we're looking at one of the reasons we lost in this game, I think you can point back to the top of the 6th inning.
Yeah, absolutely. When you have guys, in scoring position, and you have guys on base with 1 out, I mean, it's tough. I mean, you got to capitalize on these opportunities against teams like UNC, right? Which West Virginia, unfortunately, was not able to do.
Einich just had I don't want to bash a player. I don't like doing that at all.
Yeah.
But it just seems to me that Einich has time and time again in this postseason just hasn't had the Morgantown magic that this lineup has really needed. Everyone else really at some point in the series has had moments, and Einich has had moments. I mean, he's got on base and stuff, but he hasn't had those clutch moments. It just seems like when Einich is in the clutch, he's really come up small for West Virginia. And my question is, just moving forward is, a few weeks ago, West Virginia took the bat out of the hand out of Tyrus Hall, and they batted the true freshman, Zaire Barjam, with 2 outs in the 9th inning. He's a young freshman, and it was in the 9th inning, and he plays shortstop, and he has some power. I don't want to, cause controversy here at all, but I do wonder if Zaire Barjam should get some spots here for Einich in some situations.
Yeah, I mean, obviously with some of the struggles, yeah, it's definitely, I think, an argument for sure, and it'll be interesting to see if that's kind of the case moving forward. Obviously now with every game being extremely pivotal.
It's hard, because Einich has good numbers. I mean, if you look at his season, he's batting 296 coming into today, and he does a great job of getting on base. I mean, the number of times he's drawn walks this year and has been hit by a pitch. I hate to say that because he consistently through the regular season he's been great, but in my opinion, if we're just looking at the postseason play, I don't know. It just seems like Einich has been a little bit underwhelming to me. And then UNC comes up and they do nothing. Paulson flies out. Nicholson strikes out, and Howell finds out to the warning track. And through 6 innings, you're still knotted at 2. 7th inning, Amit, let's talk about this. Again, another missed opportunity for West Virginia. Kresser lines out. Lumsden strikes out looking. Hall singles and steals second, his 20th of the season. So Tyrus Hall, we love him in the 9 spot. He's been one of the catalysts to this postseason run and did a nice job of trying to manufacture a run there. But then Guzman lines out to right field at the end of the inning. And all of a sudden, as a West Virginia fan, you're kind of looking around. You're like, man, this McDuffie kid is super impressive, and it's another missed opportunity for West Virginia.
Yeah, I mean, it just seems like that was kind of the theme tonight for sure. I mean, you have guys in scoring position, and you want that Guzman's the guy you want up there, right? in those situations.
Yeah.
Yeah,
If you ask me at this point of the postseason, if you had asked me if you could put somebody up when the game is on the line, who would you put up? I'd probably say Guzman at this point. Even though Gavin Kelly obviously leads us in most categories for the Mountaineers, I think Guzman's been the guy that's been the most consistent in crunch time. So that was tough. Obviously, no shame to him. You can't do it every single time. That's why it's baseball. But just a missed opportunity for West Virginia. And I think the other thing too, Amit, is we were the designated home team in this one. So that means that we bat first. So when you don't capitalize when you're batting, it puts more pressure on you when you're defending. And that's exactly what happened in the bottom of the top of the seventh. Heineck reached on an error by Hall. So errors kill.
Yeah.
And then Kelly throws out Heineck on a French bunt for a fielder's choice. So Kelly has been elite behind the plate. I mean, the guy's been he plays multiple positions, and it's no wonder that he is a top choice for a prospect in the MLB draft next year, because he plays catcher, he plays a position in the field, and he has really consistent numbers, and he's just a guy that continues to get better. And he's thrown out a lot of batters this year when they try to steal, and the guy tries to move a runner over, and that's not going to happen against Gavin Kelly. So all of a sudden, he kind of makes up for that throwing error. But then this was the key to the game, and this is what changed the game, and this is really what lost the game. And I hate to say that because, again, we have to point blame to somebody. And, unfortunately, tonight it's going to be Brody Kresser. And unfortunately, this happened earlier in the postseason. Brody Kresser had a tough day versus Kentucky in that loss for the Mountaineers, in the regional. And Kresser botched double play ball. It was tailor-made double play ball with runners on first and second. I had a chance for West Virginia to end the inning and have the game tied at 2-2 heading into the eighth inning. And instead, a team like UNC is going to make you pay when you have errors in those positions. Gallagher makes West Virginia pay with a 2-out RBI double, or sorry, 2 RBI triple for him, 4-2 UNC. Right behind him, it's Hull, who's a great hitter. He's batting .389 coming into this one, and all of a sudden it's 5-2 UNC. So for West Virginia, you go from having an inning-ending double play, being down 5-2, and it's getting very late into that game. Tough situation for Kresser. Tough situation for West Virginia.
Yeah, absolutely brutal. I mean, I think you nailed it. You can't have self-inflicted wounds in these type of games. UNC is too good of a lineup. I mean, they just hit too well, right? And it's tough on because Max. I mean, he didn't do anything wrong in those instances, right? It was just self-inflicted. It was errors, right? And you're out of the inning, and then you botch a double play ball, and it's UNC makes you pay.
Most of Yale's struggles this year have been due to errors, and I think that's fair to say. That's what happened too versus Kentucky too early this year. So I think one of the things that West Virginia has prided themselves this year for the baseball team is defense. Steve Sabins has said many times that this team is very, very good defensively, and he's talked about this is the best defensive team he's ever seen. And ultimately, in a few spots through this postseason, they've made some errors. And listen, they're college kids; they're not pros. But when you get to this point, when you're one of the top 6 teams left in the nation, the margin for error is so small, especially against UNC. Again, UNC is such a talented team, as we saw tonight, and you cannot have that happen tonight if you want to expect to be in the driver's seat, which we're not now because we lost. But when we look back at this game, we're going to look at that bottom of the 7th inning. Inning 8, McDuffie just rolls through West Virginia, especially the heart of the order. At that point, the fat lady was singing a little bit for West Virginia. Kelly lines out. Schoenfeld strikes out. Again, tough day for him. Smith strikes out, and McDuffie is just rolling for UNC. And that's when you kind of look around and like, man, UNC, their bullpen, they seem like a very complete team after what we saw. Nicholson has a leadoff single. Yale's night is over after 109 pitches. Again, he pitches butt off for West Virginia, gave them a chance, and he puts them in a good position going into the game Tuesday versus Troy because we saved a lot of our bullpen. So Troy had to use a lot of pitchers today because their starter was out after about an inning and a half or 2 innings. So that's huge for West Virginia. Hal Bunce advanced to Nicholson. Bassinger comes in and he strikes out the batter that he faced. French drew a walk and there's runners in first and second with 2 out. A pass ball gets by Kelly. They walk Schaffner, which was an interesting decision because Gallagher's a great player.
Yeah.
But it ends up helping out West Virginia because he flies out to center field. Schoenfeld makes a diving catch, and West Virginia kind of limits the damage there. Admit there was a chance there that UNC could have really put this one away in that bottom of the 8th inning.
100%. I think even if they scored one more run, it would have been very, very difficult, right? I think my goal, 5-2 game, give yourself a shot in top of the 9th, right? I mean, UNC just too good, right? So, and their pitchers are too good. So, yeah, 5-2 is what you wanted there.
9th inning here, Graveline gets jammed, grounds out to McDuffie. Einich draws a 1-out walk. So as we just had that conversation about Einich coming up small, he does find a way to get on base in crunch time. So shout out to him. Kresser singles. So again, another guy that we're going to look to as a potential reason why we lost. Singles and he advances Einich, and all of a sudden West Virginia has a shot in this one. And then UNC has a tough decision to make because at that point, again, McDuffie was kind of rolling, but he kind of gets jammed up. And then they bring in Caden Glauber, who is UNC is 26-0 when he pitches. He's an incredible freshman. And for a while, the first still a couple of balls, I'm like, okay. But then he reminded you very quickly of why they brought him in the game. 97-mile-per-hour fastball. Hall strikes out looking. I mean, there was times where Glauber threw the ball and the catcher would catch it, and there was like dust coming from the catcher.
Yeah.
It was like that well. And he was, even though he only pitched against 2 batters, I thought he was one of the most impressive players tonight in all of the game.
Yeah, I mean, he was throwing absolute heat at the end, and even like in this situation, right? He's still a freshman, right? It's Omaha. There's still nerves. I mean, everyone's human, right? But he handled it very, very well, and UNC just top to bottom, and their pitching was fantastic, right? So yeah, just tough one.
A couple takeaways in it, and then we'll get to the chat. I know the chat. It's been hard, with a growing show. It's been hard to get to all the chat comments. So we'll do that as best we can before we put a bow on this. Takeaways, we kind of talked about it. Errors kill. That's one of the reasons why they lost. If you were to write a newspaper article about the main idea of the story, you would probably point to the bottom of the 7th inning with the innings with the errors from Hall and Kresser as the reason why West Virginia lost this one, unfortunately. Missed opportunities also for West Virginia. You had chances in the first inning. You had chances multiple times with runners on, and whether you hit into ending double plays or what have you, that's what ultimately cost you this game. UNC's bullpen is legit. We know that. We talked about that a bunch. And UNC now, let's talk about this, is in the driver's seat. I mean, let's be honest, UNC, like I said, they going into this, as a West Virginia fan, obviously we wear a West Virginia cap. We bleed gold and blue, but West Virginia probably wasn't the favorite to win this bracket, if we're being honest with ourselves. I mean, we're the 16th overall seed. UNC was 5th, and after they beat USC, the momentum was rolling. And now you look at them, and West Virginia has to go play Troy, who's going to be an extremely tough out. You saw they knocked out Ole Miss today. We sweated it out a game versus them on Friday. They're going to be tough to beat. They have had their backs against the wall as of late. They went to the Gainesville Regional, lost that first game and won 4 straight. So they are going to be extremely dangerous and looking to get revenge on us. That's going to be a tough spot on Tuesday. But anyway, UNC now can rest their arms, which already has great arms. And even if you win, you have to beat UNC twice. If you're a UNC fan, you got to be ecstatic tonight.
Yeah, you're absolutely saying pretty. I mean, they play again on Wednesday, right? So they'll get a little bit extra rest as well. So, yeah, obviously in the driver's seat, they just need one, while West Virginia or Troy is going to have to win that game, obviously, and then win 2 against them. So, yeah, obviously very tough predicament for West Virginia and Troy, and UNC is absolutely in the driver's seat.
West Virginia's in a tough spot now. This team has battled back from adversity all year, but this will be the toughest spot they've been in. Like I said, you have a hungry Troy team. I'm not sure who West Virginia pitches. On Tuesday, Chance and Cole only pitched about 50 pitches the other day, but he also got lit up by Troy. So do you really want to throw him out there? My guess, what I would probably do is throw up Montessa early, but give him a very short leash, and then have Corn and Cole ready in case you need them because you're gonna have an off day here, so that should be enough time for those guys to also go. I could be wrong, but that's what I would do if I was in that situation. Inconsistent home plate umpire, but really that wasn't the reason why you lost this game. Vibes going into this game a bit were elite. I thought going into this one, I was telling you, I called you earlier. It felt like to me, it felt like getting ready for a football game in the fall. It felt like an October football game versus Pitt or Virginia Tech, where you have the lead up to the game. It had that feel.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, this whole season, this whole run has been just magical for West Virginia. Like I've been so bought into this program. I think everybody has, right? Everyone's just so juiced, and yeah, it's bringing something magical. Like I'm seeing like Pat McAfee tweeting about West Virginia and West Virginia baseball. It's a really fun ride right now. So like even regardless of kind of what happens the rest of the way, I'm just very ecstatic where this program is going, and just how fun it's been.
It leads into the next 2 points. The Let's Go Mountaineers chants in Omaha was sick.
Yeah.
I watched the other games and I haven't seen that yet where the fans have really established themselves like that. And almost like planted the flag that we're here. And it reminded people that we are a proud program at West Virginia to do that. With that being said, I need to start a Jersey Ear Facebook at this point. I talked to you about this earlier, Amit. So I've been doing these hype reels. I've been riding the momentum of the baseball team as I should because I'm trying to grow this channel to 1,000 subs, and I've been putting out reels to hype people up, and I've had the talents to do that. And I don't have a Jersey Ear Facebook yet, so it's still connected to my personal Facebook. So my reels on IG, when I post them, I also post them to Facebook, and they've been getting like 35,000, 40,000 views. But unfortunately, the Facebook crowd is not the same crowd that comes into these YouTube channels. And they have some harsh things to say about, I guess they're not Charles Wesley Godwin fans or Mountaineer fans. And they drop some different language in there. So I came to the realization today that it might be time for me as I grow, as I about to hit 1,000 subs on here and grow on social media. It's probably time to hide my personal page and make a Jersey or Facebook. That's the next step of the show.
Yeah, I think that's I'm all for it. I mean, I think you've been doing such a great job getting everything out with social media. So yeah, I think just keep expanding that, man. It's been great.
Absolutely. All right, let's get to the chat real quick. We're gonna have a lot of comments here. Let's see what we have here. All right. Then Gamecock Chuck said them two errors killed you guys. Yep. Shout out to Gamecock Chuck. He hosts a South Carolina YouTube channel, and I love South Carolina. I really do. I love the Gamecocks. I often play with them on NCAA football. They have a lot of speed on their team. I have a family friend named Hayden who just graduated from there. So I love the Gamecocks, and it's cool for other creators to reach out and say they like the show. So I subscribe back, and Gamecock Chuck, if West Virginia ever has a game versus South Carolina or there's a chance to collab, I'd love to. So thank you for your comment. Trey Edwards said Cresser is at it again. Yeah, it's tough. These are what is tough for the show because the show is meant to be positive about West Virginia. And I don't want to come on here and bash players at all because, I'm in my 30s. These guys are in their 20s. They're young kids, and that's not the purpose of the show. But if you're also doing this from a journalism background, which both me and Amit, by the way, are both journalism majors for West Virginia, we kind of have to do. That's another comment that got me mad at Amit the other day was someone called me an amateur in the comments, which I don't think people realize that you and me both have journalism degrees from West Virginia. So this might be an amateur show in some eyes. In some eyes, I don't consider amateurism. But anyway, we have to call balls and strikes. And ultimately, if we're looking at this game, you have to look at the Cresser error as a huge part of the game. Unfortunately, you have to say that. But again, I'm not bashing the kid at all by any means. He's a guy that we don't get here without him. But ultimately, it's a tough day for him. Tosh Miller said it was a game of defense. Errors was the story of the game. Yeah, absolutely. Mistakes, miscues. It almost goes to football. If you have pass interference calls on third down situations or a holding call, and you look at penalty yards and you look back at the game, you could probably say you lost that game. So an error is the equivalent of a penalty in football, and that's what ultimately came back to bite West Virginia. John Waffle, big Pitt fan, have to get to his comment. Carolina was Jerry West's dream school. W fans need to understand that UNC was a program of greatness and W is not. Thank you, John. I appreciate John. Even though he's a Pitt fan, I appreciate the rivalry. So I appreciate John. I'll go to his comments and he's respectful in here. He doesn't say too many bad things. So respect to him, but Pitt's ESP. Anyway, heartbreaking loss. Clean up the errors and win 3 in a row. I agree. It's kind of funny, man. I'm looking at these comments. These are from like 35 minutes ago. So hopefully these people are still here. It says, "Hey Jersey, we still have an opportunity against Troy. Disappointed with the pitch calls against us." Yeah, ultimately, the umpire wasn't very consistent, but that's ultimately what didn't lose us the game. It was probably the errors. Errors killed us in the 7th. They deserved to win. Hate to say that, but there's defense better. This one hurts. It does, but I think the good thing is about this one is not that it feels good to hurt. It sucks that it happened, but guys, we're here on June 14th, and the baseball team
absolutely
is bleeding out emotion for us. Usually, we're not worried about a College World Series thing. So, if I'm finding any silver lining, it's that it matters. Kevin Varney said it was. I know it is what it is, but we had a couple of early horrible calls, and the first inning was over. 2 runs that the announcer talked about. Batter got struck out with 2 outs. Yeah, we talked about that early in the game. That strikeout call that they missed was definitely tough. Any other comments that look good? My buddy Shane said this one looks like the end of country roads. Listen, I know it's not looking great, but at the end of the day, you can't look at winning 3 games in a row. At this point, for West Virginia to advance to a national championship, you have to win 3 games in a row. You can't look at it like that. The only game that you're promised is the game versus Troy. So you need to go and beat Troy again, which is going to be tough. They're a good team. They have a good lineup. And I'm not even worried about UNC at this point. That's not even in my mind right now. Everything should be about Troy. You have a day to digest this one, and then you play Troy and give it your best shot. Let's see any other comments we have here. Just trying to get through a bunch of them. Said this one here, I like this one. They gave Carolina the game. You can't give a good team 5 outs in an inning and expect to win. It's nail on the head. You can't give a team like UNC that many outs. And in my opinion, when looking at UNC for the pregame show, UNC was the best team that West Virginia has faced all season. I think there was no doubt about that based on the Big 12 and the representatives in the tournament. And I think that's a fair statement. If you want to expect to win games like this, you cannot give free outs. It's just like the basketball team missing free throws in a game. You have to when crunch time happens, it happens. Speaking of that, Amit, though, I will say that these players are under immense amount of pressure. And you're a Knicks fan, so let's celebrate the Knicks real quick. They won last night, but down in crunch time, the world's best players were missing free throws in crunch time.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's a lot of pressure that comes in these situations for sure. And obviously, some players and teams just perform better under, certain situations. Knicks and Spurs, great example, right? I think Spurs, typically got off to a big lead, and then the Knicks just found a way to close it.
Hey, comment. Do you trust Cole with another start? Not versus Troy. I think Andrew Smith said it right here, not with Troy. Based on what we saw the last game, they hit Cole really well. I give the ball to Montessa, probably. He hasn't pitched in a while, and see what he has. But I think Montessa has a short leash for West Virginia because he's been hot and cold all season. He's been hot in the postseason, but he hasn't pitched in nearly 2 weeks. So, in my opinion, I'd probably go with Montessa and see where the cards lay. But you probably have, again, if all options are off at that point, you have to survive and advance at that point. So that definitely helps. Gamecock Chuck said everyone hit the thumbs up button. It helps the live reach more people. Thank you, Gamecock Chuck. Like I said, I haven't checked the numbers yet for this one, but we are getting very close to 1,000. So if we can get to 1,000 subs very quickly, it would help me out for sure and help the channel out. So I appreciate it. Big Dan T, one of my favorite commenters on the show, said now it's do or die. If you go 3-0 to get to the finals, we just can't do it. It's going to be tough. Again, one game at a time. We'll see what happens. Blicky said Glauber only freshman, but he brings the gas. Glauber looks like a guy that's going to pitch in the major leagues.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, throwing 97 in those situations. I mean, he's
nails, just tough as nails, man.
Real deal, for sure.
Any other comments that we have here? Let's see what else we got. I think that's it. We did it. We went through a 40-minute show.
Oh, man.
Any last comments you want to say before we get out of here?
Yeah, I mean, I thought it was an entertaining game. Obviously, tough one for West Virginia. Self-inflicted wounds, errors for sure. Cost them, I think, this game. But look, you're not dead yet. You still have Troy coming up on Tuesday, and you'd have to take it one game at a time. Every team that's in Omaha is a good team. Every team remaining and standing, right? So they just beat Ole Miss. So worry about Troy and then see what happens. But, hey, look, regardless, the season has been amazing. We're in Omaha. I mean, who would have thought it 13, 14 years ago when we were in college? So, it's been amazing.
It has been. Like I said, man, I just want to say this before we get off of here, I really appreciate all the support recently. We've been growing like crazy on this show, and I really mean that. So everyone who's new here that has chosen to subscribe, thank you. I put a lot of time into this and to grow the channel. So thank you. Hopefully you guys enjoy this, and we're going to continue to do this, but thank you so much for doing that. And thank you for the baseball team. There's no way I have this many subscribers at this point if it's not for the baseball team going on for a run. So as disappointing as it is to lose tonight, the season is not over by any means. There is a big a lot of things at play here. Gamecock Chuck says, is Amit on YouTube? So Amit isn't on YouTube, but Amit is like, I was telling my wife this tonight real quick, Gamecock Chuck. Amit is one of my favorite guests to come on the show because Amit is legit. Like, again, I think a lot of people think they use the word amateur when they think about Jersey Ear, but they don't realize that me and Amit both have journalism degrees. Amit worked for NJ.com. Amit worked for the Daily Athenaeum. Amit worked in Lincoln, Nebraska to cover the teams. Amit is legit as it comes. So Amit, if ever did YouTube, he would absolutely kill it. But Amit is a regular guest. He's the if you talk about Jersey Ear, Amit is part of the family here. He's on for almost all of the shows. He's been on for 90 or 75% of the shows, I would say. So I think Amit on YouTube, Jersey Ear is his home. Is that fair? Is that fair to say, Amit?
Yeah, absolutely, man. I appreciate it. I enjoy this. I still stick to my journalism roots. Obviously, I still have a little hand in it as well. I love it, man. I enjoy it. I covered West Virginia football and basketball and all the other sports when I was there. So it holds a special place in my heart, and I enjoy just talking about this. So yeah, no, I love it, man. Thank you.
You have a fan from Andrew Smith. He said, "Heck yeah, Amit! Heck yeah, I love Amit. Amit's the best. Amit is one of the best people. He truly is, and I love having him on the show. And he brings so much to the Jersey Ear. Amit's a Jersey guy too, so we're Jersey Ears. So that's why it makes sense to bring Amit on. He's a journalism degree like I am, and he knows what he's talking about. And we are the Jersey Ears, so Amit is definitely part of this. And he said, "We love you, Jersey. We love you too." It's been a great show, guys. Thank you so much. I gotta go do fatherly duties. Amit has to be a dude and live his life. So thank you so much. Don't forget to subscribe to the show. We'll be here on Tuesday afternoon after the game is over. We'll talk about it, and we'll lead you guys after the baseball game. We'll lead you into football season. Let's go Mountaineers. We'll talk to you guys on the next episode of Jersey Ear.